It's all mine now. I'm so happy this came in the mail.
Richie, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, I'm about to do my review of the Vincent figure from Dirge of Cerberus.
Dirge of Cerberus?
No, I've only played the game about a year and a half ago. A friend showed it to me.
You mean that terrible video game with that awful plot, one of the worst things to come out of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII?
What, you really thought it was that bad?
I mean, it's terrible. It's just one of the worst things that Square Enix has ever decided to come up with. I don't know what in their right mind they decided to come up with a shooter. It's terrible, the story is a mess, it only looks good. They had no business making a shooter game in 2006.
I mean, it's not a perfect game from what I was able to play with. I enjoy the story for the most part, but, some of it's kind of convoluted, and I also think that, I don't know, I didn't feel that Square Enix had that much business doing a shooting game. But I appreciate the fact that they wanted to add more character development. Okay, what did you think about the materia system?
1, 2, 3.
The combat?
1, 2, 3.
Boss battles?
1, 2, 3.
I mean, there has to be something. I guess I was able to enjoy it for what little there was to enjoy it.
Look, you can do the review what you want, but don't fuck it up. And I expect you not to fuck it up, just like I expect Square Enix not to fuck up Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Dude, it's just a video game. Hey guys, it's 101R Smith, back again with yet another review. However, this week, we're not doing a Gundam figure. In fact, we're going back into the land of Play Art Sky. Play Art Sky Vincent, if we're being exactly honest with each other. I'm pretty excited for this figure because my goal in my head is to complete Final Fantasy VII. So right now, I have Cloud, Sephiroth, Zack, and now we got Vincent. Hopefully what the plan is to get Barrett, Tifa, and Aerith as well once they release more updated figures. But here we are with Vincent from Dirge of Cerberus. Like I was stated in the previous skit, I never got to play Dirge of Cerberus as a kid. Because when I got into Final Fantasy, it was in a weird way. It was through the commercial for 10-2. It would air on Monday nights during Raw back in the spring of 2003. And my mind went, don't these people know what the word final means? And through that, I got into Final Fantasy VII. And I always knew about Final Fantasy VII, but I just didn't know how big the franchise was until I got into it. Dirge of Cerberus is a funny thing because essentially it was Square Enix trying to do something a little different with a fan favorite character. And it just didn't pan out because Square Enix isn't supposed to be making shooting games. But I always liked Vincent as a character because he had this broody and mystique background about him. And even though the story of Dirge of Cerberus is a bit convoluted, I found it to be interesting. And to be honest, if you look at the animation, the cutscenes, and the graphical style, this reminds me so much of Metal Gear Solid 2. So with that in way, maybe the game isn't good, but let's go check out the figure. Let's open up the box and see what we have here. When you open up the box, or you try to take a look at it like I did here, you get to see that there's a beautiful artwork entailing Vincent in his famous pose from Dirge of Cerberus. It's a nice dark red colors with some orange in the front and a lot of black in the back. And it looks really good. It makes the red pop out even more. As well, in the box you get to see more action poses for Vincent featuring his guns. And then when you open up the blurb inside of the box, you get an insert window of the action figure, as well as you get a little bit of information interning Midgard and Vincent where he is in Dirge of Cerberus. And now we have Vincent Valentine straight out of the box, and I gotta say, he looks pretty marvelous. While Advent Children went for a more photorealistic design, or as photorealistic as Tinsier no More can get, Dirge of Cerberus' Vincent goes for a more anime stylized look, with his hair jutting out and his cape having a lot more character than seen in Advent Children. While all the more defining details like his claws and feet are still present, this goes for a more stylistic approach to the character. It's still Vincent, it's just he looks straight out of an anime compared to a model dressing up like him. Overall, I'll say this is one of the best looking Claire Sky figures. Now let's take a look at Articulation to see if that matches as well. Starting with the head here, Vincent is on a double jointed neck, which can go up, down, side to side, 360, as well as Vincent's collar is pretty much jointless, so you can try to hide his face inside. Vincent's arms can go perpendicular to each other and go forward, but no 360. On the arms, you'll be getting a single jointed elbow as well as single jointed wrist, giving a double jointed waist and stomach. However, Vincent's legs cannot go perpendicular to each other and cannot go all the way out facing forward. However, you'll still be getting the traditional Player's Kai double jointed knees. As well, Vincent's cape is posable as well. You'll be getting swivels and ball joints inside to make them more stylized depending on where he is. 2 more ball joints are also present in the front of the cape as well, so you can get a lot of posability and more stylized poses. Finally, Vincent will be giving a toe joint and an ankle joint. Next up here, we'll have Vincent's signature weapons. He gets 2 guns out from the box itself. The first one is Cerberus, his signature handgun. I think it's very molded in correctly. It has a beautiful color with silver on the bottom. I love the color that he chose for the chamber and the details as well in the chamber. And you get to see the Cerberus insignia on the chain. You can pose with it very well, and it's one of the more easier figures that I've been able to hold a gun with. As well, you can get Vincent to holster it on the side of his right leg. And I love this accessory. The next one is his shotgun, Griffin. Just like Cerberus, this is molded very well. I love the brass that's used for the butt of the gun. I love the black, gold, and silver that's entrailed in this. And this is just a great shotgun that I just love to see him have. Just like with Cerberus, you can see that Vincent can pose with the shotgun pretty well, and his claw doesn't get in the way of posability, as you see. Now, in Dirge of Cerberus, the big feature that was in that game is modification. They tried to keep the JRPG aspects of Final Fantasy in this game. However, this is more used in the materia and Vincent's weapons. See, you're allowed to modify them to add attack points, triggering points, damage, defense. So they try to entail that gimmick in here. You can separate the guns into different pieces and modify them to what you like. If you want Cerberus with a longer barrel, you get that. If you want to have a more shotgun variant of Cerberus, that's for you to decide as well. They definitely allow an open door for customization with the weapons, and you're not just stuck with the 2 plain guns. You can be somewhat creative here, and I like that. So here we are at the end of the review, and what do I have to say about this Vincent figure? It's a good figure, but there seems to be a few discrepancies here. I find that Vincent is somewhat troubling to pose. Not that anything is fragile, not that anything can break, it's just more the fact that this figure is going to take up a huge amount of shelf space just by the cape in itself. And I do happen to find that Vincent is one of the more bulkier Player's Kais that I've had a chance to have in my collection. The cape in itself is going to take up space. However, because there's so much space, and how big this figure is, you're not going to get all that articulation. Articulation in itself is hampered by the legs, so you'll be struggling a little bit for him to find his footing. Otherwise, that's my only complaint, lack of posability. I love the accessories. This figure here fixes one of my biggest gripes about PlayArt Sky, is that you only get one accessory. For a $150 figure, one accessory should not cut it. Bare minimum 2. And not only is that met, you get an option of customization. Now granted, that's taken from Dirge of Cerberus, but it's a welcome feature that I'm so glad to have. It adds a lot of more creativity to your posing, and you'll have, I feel, a long-term presence with this Vincent Valentine figure. My only disappointment is it seems that the line is winding down. It seems as though Square Enix now wants to focus more on their Bring Arts line, their new 6-inch scale figures. And as of now, the only new PlayArt Sky that I know that's coming in the next few months is PlayArt Sky Aerith. And while Aerith, from what I've seen in the preview boxes, is coming with more accessories similar to Vincent, that's it. I'm kind of worried. This might be the end of PlayArt Sky for the time being. If Square Enix wants to wind it down to focus on Bring Arts, because I guess Bring Arts or just 6-inch figures in general are more accessible to the general audience. So this might be the end of an era, and it's sad because it seems like Square Enix finally got their shit together with PlayArt Sky, but they're slowly moving on, which is disappointing. Still, if this happens to be my last hurrah in PlayArt Sky, I have no complaints about it for the most part, and I'm happy that this figure was able to fix one of my biggest gripes about the line in terms of the accessories. I say, go get this thing before it becomes just as hard as it is to get Advent Children, Vincent. Seriously, no, go get this thing. Like in the next 3 or 4 months, before Christmas, after Christmas, just get this thing before it gets harder to find. This is 101 R. Smith, and I will see you later. Peace.